Hey there. For full access, join me on my school. Let me know if you can see the link in the description. And let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, well, let's get rocking and rolling. All right, greetings and salutations, peeps. Gratitude for being here for our first Food Freedom Sunday session. Today, we're going to talk about something very real and very common: why we eat when we're not hungry. Do you do that? Why do we eat when we're not hungry? All right, because if eating was just about hunger, most of us would only eat maybe a couple of times a day, maybe more than likely one time a day. And a lot of times we wouldn't even eat at all because our bodies don't really get hungry, like full true hunger, every 38 to 42 days. Yes, you heard me right. Every 38 to 42 days is when our bodies reach true hunger. So a lot of us emotionally eat, right? We eat when we're stressed. We eat when we're bored, tired, lonely, avoiding, celebrating. How many of you guys celebrated last night? Did you go out last night? Huh? Let me know. Give me the honest truth. Okay. We eat when we procrastinate. We eat to just feel better. And we eat to not feel at all sometimes, right? Do we eat to not feel at all? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, before we go any further, let me say this: there's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not lacking discipline. You're not bad. You're not broken. You're not doing life wrong. Okay? You've been simply using food as a job it was never designed to do. You've been using food as a job that it was never designed to do. Food is actually really good at the job, by the way. It's really good at the job, by the way. So let's break it down. When we eat without hunger, something else is really truly driving that behavior. And today we're going to talk about three of the biggest reasons why that we emotionally eat. Okay. So first up, Emotional eating, we eat to change how we feel. We eat to change how we feel. So if we're sad, we eat to change that to being comforted. If we're stressed, we eat to feel relief. If we're bored, we eat to feel stimulated, right? Can you guys understand what I'm talking about? Right? What are some other feelings of why you think that you eat for the reason you do? I'm over here. I'm not sure. If you can hear, okay, good. Join me from my school, which is where the live community is, and you guys can actually ask me questions, and I won't miss your questions live from YouTube and Instagram. Okay. But what are some other emotions that you guys, what are some reasons why you think that you eat the way that you do? You're lonely. Yes. So you eat because you want some company. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Right? So food becomes a mood shifter. And even if it's temporary, it works. And that's something that we keep doing. That's the reason why we keep doing. Okay? So if you've ever found yourself in the kitchen at night when the house is quiet, but you're not actually hungry, of course, that's emotional eating. If you've ever said, I deserve this, that's emotional eating. If you've ever opened the fridge just to look, that's also emotional eating. Emotional eating doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be over dramatic like we see on TV. It just has to be something that you're feeling. Okay? So let's get to the second reason of why we emotionally eat. And it's a really big one. And it's stress. Stress is a really big one. When we're overwhelmed, food gives a quick aha moment or an ah moment. It's like, this feels better, right? It's one of the fastest, most legal coping tools that most people have access to. And that's not willpower, that's biology. When stress urges, the body looks for relief. And that's when we get kind of relief that's easy or predictable and fast, it's always been there. Food checks all of those boxes. So if work stress hits, or parenting stress hits, or life just hits, period, right? Suddenly, chips, cakes, cookies, takeout starts whispering to you, like, hey, I got you. So even when everything else around is just constantly changing, food kind of stays the same. And it's like, I got your back no matter what. The third reason is reward and routine. So we don't just eat because of hunger, we eat because of association. So again, some of you guys may have went out last night and just got together to socially drink or socially eat. Maybe you got together to watch the game with some wings, right? What about the association that the world tells us? We go out for dates and we may go watch a movie, but we don't typically just watch a movie. You got to have popcorn. They just go together. Why? Because the world told us that. Friday nights again becomes drinks. Birthdays come with cake. Breakups comes with sweets and ice cream. Celebrations, just period, just come with food. And in our culture, especially, love comes on a plate. And remind me to come back to that love being on a plate, which is what I talked about when I went live on, I think, Friday or Thursday. The fact that I haven't been sick in 9 years is because my family wanted to show me love. And because of that type of love is why I got sick for the first time in 9 years. So remind me to come back to that, somebody in the classroom, okay? But food becomes attached to moments and memories, not just meals. So here's what usually happens. We get stuck in what I call the loop. You have the trigger, you have the emotion, you eat to feel relieved, and then you feel guilty for it, And then that starts the loop all over again. Okay? Let me say that again. You have the trigger, you have the emotion, you eat to feel relieved, and then you feel guilty for that, and then you repeat the same cycle. And the next day, we're like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep self sabotaging? But you can't fight the loop you don't understand. So here's the shift. And here's the good news, okay? And again, if you're joining me live from my other pages, I'm teaching privately in my school platform. So join me here and you're able to ask me any kind of questions that you want, okay? So here's the good news. You don't break this cycle with more discipline. You don't break it with more rules and more dieting. You break it with understanding. Because hunger is physical, but eating is emotional. So once we understand our why, the what becomes easier to change. So here's a tool that I want you guys to try this week. All right. I don't just come on here and just teach what you guys probably already know. I give you some things that I want you to actually try. But if you don't try them, you're going to have the same cycles over and over again. All right. So the next time that you reach for food and you're not really hungry, I want you to pause for 10 seconds, just 10 seconds, and ask, is this hunger or is this something else? Is this hunger or is this something else? And if it's not hunger, I want you to ask, what am I actually trying to feel right now? What am I actually trying to feel right now? If it's not hunger, ask yourself, what am I actually trying to feel right now? If you come to any of my sessions, you want to come with your journal or a napkin or something, pen and paper ready. Okay? This is how you actually make change. Not just showing up to hear me say what I gotta say, you go back feeling good, and then you get into the situation again and you don't know what to do. Nothing changes. That's not helpful. Okay? So the next time that you feel an emotional type of urge to eat, I want you to pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself, is this hunger or something else? If it's not hunger, ask yourself, what am I actually trying to feel right now? Here's another question. What am I trying to avoid right now? Yes, right? Absolutely. What am I trying to, sometimes we're trying to escape. That's why we drink. That's why some people smoke, right? You're trying to avoid something. And is food, alcohol, or anything else going to actually satisfy that? No, it's not, right? So, what are you trying to avoid right now? So, listen, even if you still eat after the pause, that's not failure. That pause is the beginning of rewiring. Okay? That's the beginning of rewiring. And awareness comes before change. So, over the next few Sundays, we're going to break down different types of hunger: emotional hunger, boredom hunger, sensory hunger. That's a real thing. Yes. Reward hunger, cultural hunger, which is really big, and stress hunger, also really big, okay? And you're going to start hearing your cravings very differently. And once you hear them, you can't unhear them, all right? So, key thing to take away is you don't have to fight food. You don't. You don't have to fight yourself either. Don't get mad at yourself. You just have to understand what your body and brain are asking for. So that's where real food freedom begins. I appreciate you guys being here for our first session. I'm going to close off the live. Join me in my school to get your questions answered, or if you guys want to hang around for the questions some people may ask. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep it private for them, for their sake. Um, but Here's something I want you guys to walk away from, the people from the live. When do you eat, or yeah, when do you eat the most? Morning, afternoon, or night? That also tells a story. Oh yeah, somebody reminded me about me getting sick for the first time in 9 years. So you guys can stay around for this because I want you guys to know this. I got sick for the first time in 9 years, and I was laid up for the first time ever, and I had forgotten how this felt. Let me take a quick sip. Sorry. I had forgotten how this felt. So I went home last weekend for an event. And after the event was over with, my mom cooked dinner for the family, right? Just kind of just kind of hanging out right now, hanging out or whatnot. My head was pounding, my throat was scratchy, I was coughing, and honestly, I forgot what that felt like because, again, hadn't been sick in almost a decade. So what happened? I accidentally ate something that wasn't vegan. All right. So if you don't know, I've been plant based for almost a decade. All right. Now, before anyone goes off, I'm not here on any kind of agenda. All right. I don't believe that everyone needs to be plant based like I used to. I don't judge anyone's plate, but my journey into being plant based started again almost 10 years ago. And over time, it became less about diet and more about how my body responds. So I have zero desire to eat any kind of animal foods at this point. Not for moral reasons necessarily, but more for physical reasons. And my body literally reacts to it now. But here's the part that has been bothering me the most. In our culture, we show love through food. And it can be beautiful until the food starts hurting us. Now, I've told my family for years what I do and what I don't eat. And somehow they still treat it like a phase or an inconvenience or something extra that I just made up yesterday, right? But here's the thing, when a vegan or a plant based person asks, what's in this? How was this cooked? Was it cooked next to meat with the same spatula or cooking utensils and all that kind of stuff? Or does it have butter in it? Was it cooked with chicken stock? All those kind of things. We're not being dramatic. We're just trying not to get sick. So, especially when you're a full time entrepreneur and can't afford to get sick for 3 days behind some, I don't know, some cooked greens and butter, like that's not okay. But let's talk about judgment for a second because I'm about to put myself on the stove, on the hot stove. Let's talk about judgment. Being judgmental seems harmless, but it's really a form of limited thinking. It can be seen as a prejudice, a defense mechanism, or just a cognitive bias that we've never questioned. So I remember when I taught at a PWI, y'all know what that is, right? This is almost 20 years ago when I taught at a PWI, a university, right? Well before veganism was really, really trendy. Every semester, I'd have like at least two or three vegan students. For 5 years straight, y'all, I'd have them explain what vegan meant because I genuinely wanted to wrap my mind around it. I still remember thinking, but why? Every time I'd ask them, we're talking about over a 5 year period, and we're talking about six vegans or so a year. So that's 30 people I'm asking, and I still didn't get it. So I'm like, what do you mean? All right. So obviously, my thinking back then was limited. And I wonder now if I had allowed myself to be curious instead of judgmental earlier, where would I be now? But honestly, we're all exactly where we're supposed to be, so I don't stress it, okay? I only share this as a teaching point in case it helps someone else's shift, okay? But with all the options out there, and I posted a blindfold taste testing test. Wait, blindfold taste test yesterday. We went to Sarpino's, which is a pizzeria, and we had two beautiful ladies taste a vegan pizza and a non-vegan pizza. Both of them chose the vegan pizza. Now, if you look at it, you can look at it and see aesthetically it looks different, but the taste, they said it was better. So a lot of times we eat with our eyes, and that was the point of the reason why I blindfolded. But anyway, with all the options out here, there's really just no excuse not to want to level up. But let me also say, just because something is vegan does not automatically mean that it's healthy. It just means it has no animal products, right? I've helped people heal while still eating animals. So it just depends on the sensitivities and the inflammation and the person. But if you're just trying to do better, here's an easy starter swap. Earth Balance Vegan Butter. That's what today's message is brought to you by. I wish it was literally and they were paying me, but Earth Balance Vegan Butter. This was my very first swap when I didn't have the desire to make everything from scratch like I pretty much do now. Um, Now, I will say it does have a few unnecessary ingredients, all right? But it was a good swap for me because my palate couldn't taste the difference. And that was more important to me at that time. So if you want to do your body better, make that simple swap with the butter. You don't need butter from an animal. Your body knows the difference between that and the vegan swap, right? So, if you want to level up even more, go to Ty's Conscious Kitchen. He has so many amazing videos on YouTube where he shows you step by step how to make things from scratch. He's one of the OGs that I give thanks to that started me in my kitchen more and why I was able to go for 9 years without getting sick not one time. Not that's a long time. And the fact that I felt the head pounding and the scratchy throat and the coughing, hadn't felt that in long. I forgot how much of a relief that is. When we feel better, we forget how bad the aches and pains feel. But when we feel it, we feel it. And I don't ever want to feel this again just because again, my mom wanted to make some greens with butter or ham hocks or whatever that it was. Like it's just not worth it. I'll be 50 this year. And the way that I feel this year, I feel amazing. And I'm not saying this to brag. I want you guys to have that desire to feel better in your bodies too. Because I walk around and it just seems like there's so many people that are unhappy. So, anyway, look up Ty's Conscious Kitchen and he has a vegan butter recipe and it's made with only, I think, like five simple ingredients. And it's very creamy and it tastes like the real deal. Okay? If you're ready to level up even more, higher than that, just use one ingredient. The biggest ingredient in any kind of buttery taste is really just the oil. You don't need much. You can use avocado, coconut oil, walnut oil. Those are my three favorites. Just a little dab goes a long way. But if anything, please, please, please retire the veggie or the vegetable oil and the canola oil. Like just those are the worst two oils you can ever put in your body. And that's what most restaurants use because they're the two cheapest as well. So if you eat out a lot, ask them. Maybe just, you're not going to go from eating out a lot to never eating out at all. That's just not possible. But just start to again educate yourself on what is in that food. Why does it taste as good as it does? It's usually because of the cheap stuff and a lot of sugar. And that's why we're not feeling well. So that's basically my update on why, yeah, just going almost a decade of not being sick. I never want to feel this way again. So again, we talked about judgment and being judgmental, which that's something I'm teaching myself not to be every single day. I used to judge people that was like, "What's in this? How is this made? Blah 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 blah. Just eat it, whatever." I'm that person where I'm asking the questions, and now I want you to be that person. All right. Now we've got to stop loving each other with food that is slowly killing us. We got to stop. We got to stop. How can we show love to each other in ways that are beneficial? How can we do that? When we get together, do we always have to go out to eat? No, we don't. There's so many things that we can do. So many things. You go to a park. Yes, go to a park. Go fly a kite. Go. One of my things that I want to do actually, when I used to be I'm a huge kid now. I'll be 50 this year, but I'm still a big kid. I used to love remote cars, remote control cars. I used to love those. Anybody else used to? Yeah, I know. I'm a big tomboy, still kind of am. But I used to love remote control cars. It's very soothing. It's something about it. I don't know. Kind of similar to flying a kite. But yeah, there's so many things we can do without damaging ourselves even further. All right, so I'm going to end it here. Hopefully, you guys can join me inside of my school where they're going to ask me some personal health questions. I'm going to do this every Sunday and every Thursday. Look at my page for the times and all of that good stuff. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining.